I would like to introduce Minority Exhibit J.
Do one more.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, this is an email from June of 2008, right around the time that Epstein pled guilty to soliciting a minor for prostitution. And you said to him, quote, "Abigail told me the result. All I can say is I feel sorry. You violated your own #1 rule, always be careful." And Epstein replied, "No excuse." So clearly, either you knew or Epstein had said to you that his #1 rule was to be careful. What, in your recollection, was he so careful about?
About being honest and stealing from me, us, these criminal, terrible, horrible things that he did. And I don't know what prompted me, because when I saw this, I think I was just giving him the finger. It's something in the news, something. Maybe it was the fact that Abigail told me, and I was cooking on it, and I just wanted, like, you sold yourself as a careful, honest fiduciary, and you completely robbed us, did all these terrible things.
It sounds like you, at least at the time, understood that it sounds like Mr. Epstein would say that his #1 rule was to be careful. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. What do you recall that being in the context of when Mr. Epstein would say that? Why was that his #1 rule? I'll phrase it that way.
Well, again, he alleged himself to be a fiduciary, and I'm always careful about my clients. You know, I don't do risky investments. I wasn't looking for cleverness. I was looking for accuracy, conservative, like just run things really smoothly. And Jeffrey would say, "Don't worry, I'm always very careful." And that might have meant to be not abusive to my admin or to be prompt and accurate with tax returns. He's just careful because that's what you would expect. If my personal attorney would have said, "Don't worry, I'm always careful on your account," that would ring, comfortably for me. And complete crook.
And you touched on it, but in terms of what you can recall about how you felt at the time, the crimes, even the crime that he pled to, was not insignificant. It involved a minor. Do you recall? I mean, that would seem not to necessarily be the product of simply not being careful. So do you recall whether you felt anger, shock, or simply how could you have been so careless?
I don't remember how I felt. Probably anger that a person in a trust position could be so mistrusted, so crooked, so bad.
As far as you can recall, when was the last time you spoke with Mr. Epstein?
Well, it was probably sometime before I gave him the finger. So it probably was in 07 or 08, sometimes when he got in trouble. In my mind, he died.
Well, definitely at this point, you two were in communication, so that's the middle of 2008.
You have someone who spoke to him.
Sure, I'll clarify. Any form of electronic or verbal communication.
I wouldn't remember that I did this. What I remember is when I found out how bad his sexual behavior was, and he was stealing from us, dead.
If you recall, I think you had said that he initially framed the investigation to you as involving a massage and an overzealous police chief. At least that was what your counsels represented to DOJ. Do you recall that?
I don't recall it. I don't know that he told Abigail that, and she told me.
No, not what she told
Okay,
you.
I don't know. How I know, I don't know.
Do you recall when you first became aware of his crimes involving minors?
I don't recall.
There is evidence that Mr. Epstein tried to get in touch with you in 2010 and 2011. We don't know whether that continued later. Do you have any recollection of having any form of contact with him after 2008?
Nothing. I'm positive that I had no communication of any kind. I keep repeating that from my point of view, he died. I didn't want to even think about it. Yeah, man.
Starting to wrap up, are there other individuals from Mr. Epstein's orbit at the time that you think we should talk to who might have an understanding of Mr. Epstein's crimes?
What I'm thinking is that he referenced several people that I never met. Do I think they might have information? Possibly, but I don't know whether he made it up or he really did it.
Do you recall some examples of people he would reference?
Yeah, he'd say, I was in Aspen last week. And I'd say, oh, what were you doing in Aspen? And he said, the family that owns Fidelity in Massachusetts, Johnson. He said, I worked for Abigail Johnson, and I was there talking to her about their family situation. But he could have been making it up. But at the time, he said, geez, he works for the Johnson family. They're pretty sophisticated. He would talk about the founders of Google, that they were friends, and he'd visit them. He would talk about, you got to come out to San Francisco. You should meet the Amazon guy. Bezos. And I said, no, I'm not too busy, and I'm interested, and I don't do what he does. And I said, but he's really a smart guy. You should meet him. I said, if I'm ever in San Francisco, I'll look him up. I'm too busy. Trying to think if there's any others. The Google guys. But I never met them. I never met Abigail Johnson. But I know the name. That's all I can recall. But there were so many names dropped that, and I don't know, I don't know as much interest in celebrities, political celebrities or whatever's. He was just like, I know so-and-so, or I know so-and-so. I don't want to mislead you and get a woman I don't know in trouble like Abigail Johnson. But up until the fact that I believed that he was a crook, I believed that he knew all these people.
Do you recall whether he ever